Welcome to another episode of The People Ask About Web3. In our show, we cover some really interesting topics about Web3. We uncover different business models and use cases of different Web3 technologies, how they're used in today's world. On my show, I try to have the best projects and also that are best projects that are led by the best people in Web3, people that are bringing new use cases and that are revolutionizing business as we know it today. Today, we are going to be talking about a brand new concept. We're going to be talking about digital fashion, something that I have never covered on my show before. We've seen metaverse, we've seen virtual walls, digital assets, and so forth, but we haven't dived into digital fashion. Now, digital fashion is a topic that is very close to me because I've collaborated with different startups in the digital fashion industry. And also, I know a couple of influencers that are in the digital fashion world. So this chat is going to be really spot on my current interest and also where I think the current trends are focusing a lot of attention right now. Now, thank you so much, Costantino, for taking the time to be on my show today, for taking the time also to answer my questions about digital fashion. And yeah, just looking forward to diving more into the digital fashion world, understanding how it's helping out, how it can help us out in the future. What are some ways that we can potentially add value to current business practices and also get rich in the process. No, I'm just joking. But anyways, Costantino, thank you so much for joining me. I would like to leave the floor to you just to introduce yourself briefly, and then we're going to dive right into the show with the questions about digital fashion.
Um, Thank you, Gregor. I'm very happy to be here and to invite me to your amazing podcast. I'm Costantino Rosselli, founder and CEO of Netizens, which is a virtual fashion house, a studio, and a marketplace too, multi-brand marketplace. I'm also a member and on advisory board of Metaverse Fashion Council, and I work in fashion industry more than 15 years now, as I jumped out from a big corporate. My background is on computer science, marketing. I'm also a best-selling author and a futurist. And since the time that I built Netizens, just to share a little bit about the Netizens is a virtual fashion community that we have right now more than 2,000 3D fashion designers and digital influencers.
That is quite a community. Now, before we dive into my questions, you've said a couple of things that are very interesting. I want to know a little bit more about the Metaverse Fashion Council. What is the Metaverse Fashion Council? I've seen a few people that are members of it. I've seen quite some action on LinkedIn about it. What is its objective? What does it do? And why was it created?
Okay, the Metaverse Fashion Council is a NGO based on decentralized concept and an open concept. Is a DAO, and the main role, the main scope is to build a community, an open community, and tokenize fashion in general. Um, if I can say it in more simple words, is that the Metaverse Fashion Council is here to set the rules of the fashion in the metaverse.
Mhm, mhm. So just like the Metaverse Council, so for the Metaverse Forum Council or the General Council, I can't remember what it's called, that's setting all of the rules of how different virtual assets should be created, how it should be compatible between different worlds, what should be the ethics concerns, and so forth. So it's, I guess, it's a unification of different designers, artists that come together to discuss how will digital fashion be implemented
Yep.
inside of the metaverse or inside of digital worlds. Cool. I think it's something that is very required and something that will decide the standards for creating digital fashion. Let's dive into our topic. So, how will digital fashion disrupt the fast fashion business and change our lifestyle? Now, my first question is if you can explain to our listeners why digital fashion is and how it's different from traditional fast fashion.
Okay, the traditional fashion is already established as a model. I mean, there are four main pillars, which is the design, the production, the marketing and sales, and the distribution. And the way that you do as a designer or a brand is very complex, and has some physical limitations, the rules. I mean, the first thing that you should do is to create um, a garment, a physical garment, that you need to do a prototype. And then if the prototype is finished, then you have to create the samples that you have to send it around the world. So you have to create a lot of samples, a lot of duplicate, let's say, collections that you have to send it around the world in trade fairs or showrooms in the world. So that means that it's an exclusive in terms of the limitation of reach everyone. And if you do that, then the buyers will join all those trade fairs and showrooms. The media will follow this, and then you have to participate in fashion shows around the world. And that means that you already spent a lot of money, a lot of energy, a lot of people, and a lot of things in order to do that. And of course, you harmed already the environment because you already create physical garments that needs a lot of water to do that, and a lot of effort and energy. And after this, if the buyers buy your collections and they want to sell it, they put it on retailers around the world. So that means that you have to spend a lot of energy again and a lot of money in order to feed the advertising market. That means advertising industry. Sorry, which means you need to advertise where your collections are, and then you have to use celebrities, influencers, or anyone in order to send the people, the consumers, to the retailers in order to buy what you sell. And that means that not everything that you already created are being sold or will be sold, and then you have to take it back and throw it away, which means that you overproduced things. And of course, the consumers that will buy things from you, they will be based on statistics. We have unworn things in our closets, so that means that the 30% of what we buy is unworn. And if you think that, oh my God, this has happened, when I read that statistic, I said, yes, it's happened because I have also unworn things in my closet and I didn't know that. So I was a part of this mentality and this way of wasting things. To add on that cost, I will add also that two major things. The first one is the cost of supply chain of when you send the samples around the world. That means that you spend a lot of money for this. And the second thing is the underpaid workers, because if you want to gain, if you want to reach a lot of people, if you want to make your brand visible, you have to spend in marketing and trade fairs and everything there. But you don't need to pay so much in terms of creating to design the things, because you go to third world, let's say, factories and manufacturers and everything, and then you pay them less in order to increase to have the margin of profit. So in the end of this, who will pay that cost is the environment, the consumers, and underpaid workers. And that was my, let's say, in 2 minutes, how the industries work. I think that I gathered them all in those small paragraph because it's huge. And I explained already the problems. So digital fashion came to give the solution here, and how it's working differently in the traditional. So you don't need to have physical garments in order to create a prototype. You can create it in 24 hours, and you don't need to go forward and backward with manufacturing, because everything is going digital. You don't need so many people in order to do that. So no physical garments, no physical people, no workers on that. So you have only digital workers, and you don't harm the environment, because this is 97% sustainability on everything that you do. The 3% goes to an energy. So it's a myth that digital fashion was unsustainable in terms of energy. And when you do that, then you don't need again to send your collections to create, let's say, so many samples to go around the world. You upload everything in digital, 3D digital right now, and I'm going to say here that the 3D digital prototype that you create on the samples are already they have already the specifications to go direct to manufacturing and became closed. So you don't need to touch anything in physical. Everything is going to the virtual world. Uh, that means inclusivity because you include everyone. And then having a virtual showroom, then you have include everyone around the world, and you can serve anyone around the world. So the people, and this is the disruption of the fashion model because you don't need the intermediaries, you don't need the trade fairs, you don't need the showrooms, you don't need the media, you don't need anyone. You need only the influencers in the virtual world just to communicate with your audience.
That is amazing insight in the entire process. But first of all, it's amazing insight in the process of how a fashion designer might bring their clothes to the market. So what you said, how currently the industry is doing it, designer designs their clothes, they send it to different showrooms, the same and different samples. The different buyers, they select the different clothes that they want to buy. They buy that. All of the rest of the clothes that you design, you can throw it away. You only build and kind of produce what the buyers then choose that they are going to be selling. This is, like you said, it takes a lot of time. It's harmful for the environment. It takes a lot of energy and effort and money. It's also very time consuming, not only for like creating it, but also in the waiting process, waiting for the trade show, etc., etc. It doesn't happen all instantly. And you explained very well also how the digital fashion is changing this concept. Now, one question that came to my mind before moving on into more detail is why not before? Meaning like why right now? Why hasn't, I mean, it sounds so good. Why hasn't it been done previously?
Um, I suppose that there are a lot of factors that play roles on something that comes to the surface. I believe the mentality is one of them, the mentality of people. I mean, when you build something new, it's not for you, it's for the next generation because the current generation, let's say, is always the generation that works in habits that created as they born, as we born. So it's difficult for us to accept a change or an innovation. So when you build innovation, you build it for the next generation, actually. And this concept of digital fashion is not a new one on today. It it was born in the late of 90s, and it works in it grows in the first decade of 2000, and here we are right now. And now the mentality of people is more technological. Let's say they accept more and more the tech world. I remember back on the days of the beginning of 2000, when I spoke to people about technology, they said, "I'm not an IT guy." And now everyone has a smartphone
Mhm.
and knows more than me on how you deal with tools, on what you do, and a lot of people. Um, Working in technology without being having on the background or studying about computer science and everything because right now the world is completely different. So today we have the mentality, and having the mentality, that means that the people, they invest on it more easily than before.
Mhm. Okay. Makes perfect sense. So, how do you think that digital fashion is going to evolve in the next few years?
Is already a standard methodology or is going to be the standard methodology in the beginning of the fashion process, which means that the design process, the prototypes, is, I believe that uh, the majority of big brands, every factory has those processes. So this is already there, and it will
Mm.
be growing more. What is going to happen the next 5 years is the realization of the people that we can create a huge business in digital world, because this is where the bet, let's say. So I speak with brands today by saying to them, why you want to do fast fashion and try to hunt your customers spending so much money at the time that you can go inside of a digital world and have less effort, more customers, and everything will be better for your profitability and the environment, sustainability, and everything. Doing everything digital, they don't understand, and they say, "Yes, but where are the clothes?" Because they're looking the physical environment. So I believe what will be happening in the next 10 years is that when the people realize that they have a huge marketplace with billions of avatars, that they have a wallet ready to pay for digital fashion, then that will be the true disruption of fashion model, of the current fashion model, and everything will be flips. And that means that we will speak there for the real digital world.
I understand. So basically, we are in the early stages. It's still getting adopted. The trends of the industry, such as the metaverse, virtual reality, working also from the metaverse and virtual worlds, and with all of different metaverse projects coming, all of these, they require avatars. And all of these avatars, if you're going to be spending time inside of these digital worlds, you want your avatars to be customized. You don't want them to be to look and feel kind of plain and simple. So this is kind of digital fashion for the avatars. Previously, we're also talking about digital fashion in terms of kind of real garment clothes, meaning which is slightly different, I think, than kind of avatar fashion. So, do you see these two things as kind of completely separated, or do you see them as your avatar having the clothes that then you can actually maybe directly click and send to a online things like Printify or a tool that right now creates business cards for you. You can just send them your digital kind of fingerprint of your digital assets and clothes, and they will create the cloth for you and send it to you. You see these two things kind of as being one or separate? What are your thoughts on this?
I'm sorry, I lost you for a bit. So can you repeat the question?
Yes,
Sorry.
apologies. My question is that there is two kinds of way that that I see digital fashion from the way that you've described it. The first way is that digital fashion can be used as a asset for producers to manufacture real clothes and to save on clothes. The other way is that it can be used by avatars in different digital worlds that are being very popular in Horizon workrooms where people are going to work in all of the different also metaverses where people go and play. So these avatars are also going to have to be customized by digital fashion. Now, is this the same? Is it different? I want to know your thoughts about these two fields, or if there is also any additional kind of fields where digital fashion could be applied.
Yeah. I believe that we are in the beginning of a new era. We leaving behind the industrial era, and we create something that we call it, let's say today, metaverse era. To realize exactly where we are right now, we have to go back in history, and we see how the people behave when the first car is arrived. Until then, they had a carriage with horses. And when they build the first car, they just separate the horses from the carriage, and they call it a horseless vehicle. So today we are in the horseless vehicle. Um, and then they took them more than 20 years in order to realize that, hey, why we don't change the shape of the carriage? Because right now we don't need to have this shape, because we don't need to put the horses in front. We don't need someone to sit in that place. And then the cars arrived to start as we know it, and then they took the shape that we have today. It took us more than 100 years in order to reach the from the first car, let's say, to a Ferrari of today. But I believe that in technology, those 100 years will be merged in 5 years or something like that, because everything is moving faster. Also in the
Mhm.
mentality, because we have this historical data to analyze, and we don't want to protest so much on the evolution. And that means that right now we are in a position that everybody is coming and say, hey, the AI right now is the hype of the AI. Yesterday it was the hype of metaverse, but nobody understands that all of those things are elements of the same way of our lifestyle that we will have in 10 years from now. Everything is produce something or become a stepping stone of a general way of living. So yes, everything it will be together. It will be coexist, let's say, together in those 10 years that we need in order to understand what will happen. And yes, we will be used together as a prototype to create the manufacturing things in digital fashion and to dress the avatars. So, but everything of it will be part of the same thing. I mean, for me, the metaverse is generalize everything. So this is why I started this business. I said I would like to build a world that the AI will be there, that the VR will be there, that the avatars will be there, and everything will be there. So instead of I say a virtual world, I said I will have a virtual world inside of the metaverse. So the metaverse is not what you see right now. What you see right now is a horseless vehicle.
Mhm.
And until the time that we will shape it in a good way, and until the time that marketeers will take position of how to brand it and how to name it, because right now is in the lab, everything is in the laboratory, except digital fashion that is coming for 20 years back. This is why the metaverse took by storm the fashion, and everything is happening in fashion because fashion is constantly changed. And it's about creativity, and it's about people that they want to change all the time and to create things all the time. So this is why fashion is always in front of innovation and in front of new things.
I understand. Thank you for that. Thank you for that insight. Now, connecting to your answer right here, I want to ask you, so how is the business that you have created around digital fashion adding value to the space right now, and how is it connected? Is it connected to Web3?
Of course, the whole philosophy of Web3 is about using technology as um, as an enabler of liberate our lives. As I used to say, it's about the human culture. I mean, when we had the Web 1, it was just to um, it was like the first game in Atari that you have a ping pong, a dot in the screen that goes from one side to another, and you just want to move two bars like a tennis, and you have the tennis in your mind. But um, that was the Web 1. In Web 2, it will change the culture that we had about everything that we knew about the world, because for one day to another, we became all media. And we had the camera, we were there, witnessed on everything that happened in the world. And at the same time, we will connect it to a world. Today, when we speak about locations, is irrelevant. I mean, I don't see from my window the view of my physical location, but I use my computer to have a window to see all the world. And I'm related on what happened in one country that they suffer or they have something that is good event or whatever, more than what happened in my neighborhood. And, uh, and people around the world, for example, they are connected with the Ukrainian war, or they connected with Black Lives Matter in the other corner of the planet. So that makes us all related, um, having more purposeful lives, saving the planet, being all together. This is a cultural change of Web 2. And above all, it makes us more consciousness about what we're doing, because before that we should rely on committees. If you want to do a podcast, you should be a member of a committee or someone to approve your certificate, and then you have to go to a radio station or to big international network. But today you are here and we speak together and you have your own audience. So the permission of someone needs to give you that authority is moved to an end with Web 2. And that was the major step of technology. It liberates us for committees, for isolation, for many things. And now the Web3 is coming to say, today you will have the ability to create experience that nobody else can have it in the planet. I mean, we can create experience between us through the metaverse, through virtual world. But the most thing is that blockchain is happening to enable Web3. What is blockchain actually, and how enable us? And what is NFT? They give us authority. They can make us not only media, but we are right now the banks. We are right now the nations of
Mhm.
ourselves. So it gives power to individuals to create their own networks, and we don't care about governments. And it's like a revolution. And I'm a rebel right now, but I'm speaking. But this is, if you see this in a bigger perspective, you will understand that Web3 is not just revolutionize the way that we talk each other or spending time together, but give us the power that we give to the industrials, to the industrialists. Right now, we took it back, and we say we can do it by ourselves.
So
We can create. We can
just
do
to
anything.
jump in there, because Web3, I mean, these are all concepts of Web3: decentralization, giving back to the community, having no central authority or server. However, implementing this in real life is difficult, meaning that how it's implemented currently is via tokens, via NFTs, via different marketplaces, dApps, and so forth. However, the level of adoption is very low, meaning that the majority of businesses are still on Web 2 platforms, let's call them like that. So to rephrase the question is, how are you using Web 3 inside of the digital fashion industry? And
Okay.
are businesses
Yeah.
interested in the Web3 approach? Because digital fashion, you can also do it without the Web3 approach, meaning you can create digital assets, you can render everything using different files and formats. You don't really need Web3 uh, right now as a kind of to solve the problem of kind of sharing files and streamlining the whole process. You can still do it on Web 2. It's going to have a different approach and a different methodology, but it's still doable. So, what is the added value of Web 3? How is it being used for digital fashion?
Um, First of all, just to say that yes, everything is complex right now because of two things. The first one, that we get used in a different lifestyle, and right now Web3 wants to make us all, as I said, the banks. So we are in the beginning. So the people need more simplifying rules, and so it's difficult to adapt it from all. But today we don't live the mass market as we had it in the past. Today we speak to communities. Today we co-create with communities. For example, Levi's in Soho in London has a store that you can go there and you say, okay, I like your jeans, but I would like to make it in that way. So in 2 hours, they co-created with you. In 2 hours, you have your jeans in a physical part, and you can take it, and you design it because you use the platform of Levi's, and you use the help from them. So if you can do that, as for example in 2010, I believe 2010 or 2011, it was Lego that says, okay, go in our platform, design whatever you want, and we will bring you to your home in a box of Lego. And if you allow us, we will put it in ourselves out there. So you co-create, you become a design of Lego, you create the next, let's say, um, product for Lego based on the philosophy of Lego. So everything is not new. So we need Web3 in order um, to pass this philosophy of digital fashion to everyone, because I believe that the digital fashion is not only to help and what happened today is not here just to make your business better or to reach a better audience, is to change the philosophy of your doing business. We don't need any more t-shirts. We don't need any more. The question is why we buy a t-shirt if you build everything in digital world, if we invest on digital content. So why you don't dress in digital? So it's about everything to become digital. So it's not about only to create, let's say, the prototypes. This is okay. You have to do it because you serve right now a community in physical world. But this community, in the end, will not have um, the same, let's say, need of buying what you build. So the community will reject you, and you will not get the same profits in the end in 10 years from now from your physical garments. You need to go digital because nobody will buy what you want because they don't care. So
Mhm.
if the community will change, and this is a Web3, it's about community, it's about co-creation. It's not anymore broadcasting. Okay, this is the difference between Web3 and Web2. We don't broadcast anymore. We are not a powerful brand. We don't build bridges with the audience. We take our brand, we move ourselves to where community is, and we show up there to give them solutions. It's not about the brand anymore and us. So it's like, I used to say that Beatles never invented teenagers. They just show up to lead them somewhere. They didn't build a brand outside of the teenagers. They built the brand together. They grow together. So this is the difference between Web3 and Web2. It's not about an influencer anymore that is just being an advertiser. It's about an influencer that is an expert and works with you, listen to you, and understand what you want, and broad, not broadcast, live streaming with you every time that builds something. And to connect with him or her, you need to have a virtual world because I cannot be everywhere that as a physical entity all the time. But it's really cool to connect as we connect here because I didn't lose time to travel or whatever. So and digital fashion in general is the most important thing because for Web3 because the first one is yourself or your avatar. The second one is what you wear. How do you express yourself? And digital fashion and is not dressing only one self of you because when we speak about avatars and virtual worlds, you can be any kind of self personality that you have because you are a broadcaster, then you have a different avatar, and then you are a father, then you can have a different avatar that explain to your kids how it should be or whatever. So it's a multi personality world, and then you have to dress every personality accordingly.
Mm, I understand. Very, very interesting analogies to describe Web3 and to connect it to make it understandable. Now, this seems like it's going to bring a lot of change. How do you think that the job market is going to change due to the digital fashion industry? Do you think that there is going to be a rise of some specific new jobs and kind of the modification of all jobs, like for example, maybe designers that used to do certain things, they are not going to be required anymore, or certain aspects in the whole chain are not going to be. How do you think the job market would change because of the digital fashion industry?
I don't believe it would be easy because as we push in evolution of technology and technology starts deliver the things that we demand for years now. I mean, AI, for example, is not something that we said don't do it. We said do it, and when it's arrived, we say, "Oh my God, what is this? I cannot cope with that. I'm afraid." So to have this. This is also the same with when the first computers arrived. the people afraid that they lose the jobs if computers being in their desk. And we live the same circle, and we don't learn about that. So to not be afraid, to just think how we will use it. But anyway, so that means that it will not be so easy for everyone. And I don't believe that everybody around the world will be changed on the same level. There will be different philosophies, different cultures, different um, level of. I mean, in Singapore, maybe they do it faster than us. In that we are in Europe, and I believe that Europe has a lot of problems to solve because they keep some heavy chains in their legs because of traditionalists, and that keep us back. And I don't believe that everything will be changed fast. What I hope, I am in trust with communities. I believe that people can make the difference. I saw that happen in Greece. We had a very big recession, a very big um, uh, economical crisis. And what I saw is that the people stopped demand from governments and everything, and they just connected each other through the media around the world, and they build amazing networks, and they create a lot of great experiences in many fields in the industry of fashion, of hospitality, and everything like that. So they use the whole they give value, let's say, to the media, to the social media and Web2, and right now they do the same with Web3. So I believe in communities. The communities will be changed first, and the organization will follow, or they fall.
Mm.
And but I don't believe that it will be easy for everyone, because the traditionalists, the people that they hold right now, we spoke, for example, about the disruption of fashion. It's not easy for people that they created fashion in that way to leave the control to the people. So um, this is why it's so complex to go to crypto, for example, or everything. It's not because it's not working, it's because they don't want to lose control.
Makes sense. Uh, One more question that I want to ask you. I've taken a lot of your time already. Uh, so this is a growing field. This is kind of, we are in the beginning of it. You called it the not the driverless car, the horseless car right now, the digital fashion industry. So what advice would you have for aspiring fashion entrepreneurs that are looking to get into this area? What do you think they should focus on? What kind of technologies should they be using? What is an easy way of them getting onboarded onto the community?
Um, they should see digital fashion. They should see as an asset to their company, uh, as um, as a way to change in the good way, to change the revenues, let's say, stream, and and to stop seeing as a marketing tool or another way to approach the same community. It's completely different. So they need, having this in their mind, they need to connect first with companies like ours, for example, like Netizens, to ask them to explain, ask them to learn, not to judge, and ask them for and invest on let's say demonstrations. Invest on a small amount of money, not big one, just to the whole process, not just a part of it, because they don't. The people, I realize, connecting with brands and speaking with heads of the brands, that they don't understand why to change one small thing. And this is the approach that we had in the past, but today I believe that we have to have a holistic approach. What I mean, for example, I come to brands with a proposal by saying, I don't care what you do, continue doing what you're doing, but give me the ability, invest on me a small amount of money just to show you how you can do it in Zepeto, for example. Zepeto is a metaverse game. And let me introduce you to the Fortnite, let's say, world. You don't need to do anything. I will do it for you. But when the people they invest and they show what I can do for them, and they see how it's working from the A to Z to Z, and they see that one company like us can do everything for them in the whole. I don't touch their marketing. I don't touch anything to them. So they see the value. Then they became more interesting, and then they understand the whole philosophy, because this is the first step that they should do. Because right now we are like aliens to them, and I see a lot of metaverse spaces to fade down because of that. You join some metaverse spaces in order to have an event, and after a while you're getting bored because you don't have something to do. So the digital environment, if you want to create a right digital environment and to trigger people to interact and work there, you should have the foundation of first gamification, second storytelling. If you cannot have a story that people love it, if you don't have elements that people that keep their curiosity and everything in there, you don't have nothing. Otherwise, why to bother to wear your goggles or to join a virtual space? In the real environment, as you said, is much more perfect to do things. So otherwise, it's just a virtual space that it creates a curiosity, a big hype, but it goes to an end. And we should take it care from we should take care everything from A to Z. To if you want to take a brand and lead them to success, you need to build a holistic approach, and then the brands need to test it and see how they work for them.
Mm-hmm. And you guys managed to successfully build, you said in the beginning of our podcast, you said that you guys managed to successfully build a community of around 3,000 designers. Is that correct?
2,000 designers, yes.
2,000,
2,000 plus.
2,000. It's growing. So my question is, I guess they needed a lot of education about the onboarding and education before understanding kind of what this whole kind of business model and how this works. What do you think are the biggest challenges right now for the digital fashion industry?
The the biggest challenge right now is the interoperability. I mean, designers. There are a lot of tools out there on how to design, and also there are a lot of digital spaces that they use different kinds of avatars and technology. And in that way, designers need to, they are forced to learn a lot of differences in order to design their garments for different technological styles. So interoperability should be the biggest challenge that we work on this. We would like to, we work on a software as a service in order to design on whatever you want, but put your design, export your design in our, let's say, software, then you can dress any kind of world, that any kind of avatar in the world. This is our ambitious project for the moment. And this is the biggest challenge. Another challenge is that because of the simplicity of to be a designer, that makes you not so rare out there, because everybody can design something. So that creates, a habit that when everybody can design a Ferrari, then the Ferrari will lose their. But it's not like this. So we should focus more on quality. We should make visible and transparent why our designs are better than everything else. We should show to people how we care. This is what what the luxury brands they did in the beginning of social media, because there was a question, for example, in the cars industry, who says that why to buy a Ferrari, for example, because I found in 5 times less another car that do the same things. But it's not like that. It's not about what you do with the car. I mean, if you reach your goal to go from one place to another place with the same speed, let's say, but it's how you build a car. So you need to create, the designers needs to understand that they should take the customer inside of their laboratory, inside of the atelier, and make them part of the story, and make them realize and create an emotional impact between the customers. And this is the most important, the storytelling. This is the most important. The other things are tools, and then we will find a way. But the most important is to create an empathy, to create an emotional statement, an experience statement with you and your community around.
Understand. Uh, I think it's an area that is growing rapidly. That should be under a lot of interest for many people, meaning that is going to create lots of opportunities for new jobs, for new businesses, for new companies, and also, like you said in the beginning, is going to help out workers, environment, and consumers to save money because of the benefits that it provides. Constantino, you've been an amazing guest. You shared some very interesting insight into the whole fashion industry, not just the digital fashion that we've talked about for almost an hour, but also about how the digital fashion is affecting our world and why the need for digital fashion. I found this very insightful. I hope that the listeners also found it very interesting. And I wanted to ask you before we close our conversation today, I wanted to ask you if there is anything else that you would like to share with our listeners, anything else that's on your mind that we haven't discussed, but you would like to share with everybody.
Um, First of all, thank you very much to invited me, and it was a pleasure to speak with you. And I hope your audience enjoyed as we much here, as we much enjoy it here. And what to share to people is that the metaverse, and specifically digital fashion that I'm working on, the metaverse is an opportunity for people to evolve their lives on something on a better state. And so don't lose this opportunity because you're afraid to learn more new things. And this is to individuals, because I don't believe that established brands and established, let's say, big influencers will follow, afraid to lose their audience and the pie that they have right now. But the young generation that we are working, and I love to speak to them all the time, the alpha generation and part of Generation Z, is who they have the opportunity to be to revolutionize our life of tomorrow. They have the opportunity to create the new Napster, to create the uh, uh, to to do the same that the Napster and Spotify did to the record labels. And right now we have more musicians and more music, and the life is them. The life is for them. So don't lose the opportunity because you're afraid to lose something.
Words of wisdom. Constantino, once again, thank you so much for being with us here today. I will leave all of the details to NetZense in the description of the video, to your profile. If anybody wanted to reach out to you, they can. So again, to the listeners, thank you so much for staying with us, and I hope to see you in the next episode of the People Ask About Web3. Thank you, Constantino.